The H1 Unlimited season kicked off in Doha, Qatar, where Jimmy Shane in the 5-gram trucking took his second world championship title and set his sights on a season championship. But back in the U.S. at the second stop, reigning champion Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto took the victory at the Sacramento Big Wake Weekend. Today, we're in Madison, Indiana for the third stop on the tour. Will Steve David take back the points lead? Can Jimmy Shane hold on to the lead? Not if the Ohio River has anything to say about it. H1 Unlimited continues next. Welcome to Madison, Indiana, and the 2013 Lucas Oil Madison Regatta. This is the 62nd running of the Indiana Governor's Cup here along the Ohio River, and this site is steeped in history. This weekend, Mother Nature is looking at taking a victory as the Ohio River crests well over flood stages, and this year's Madison Regatta may not get underway. The community-owned Oh Boy Oberto Miss Madison has had great success in the past with 6 national championship titles since 2001. Current driver Steve David is back in the driver's seat for the 2013 H1 season and was hoping to make the hometown proud.
The Madison Regatta has been running now. This is, I think, its 62nd year of racing. They've been through wars, they've been through everything. And this little community of 13,000 people puts on, I think, the second biggest sporting event in the state of Indiana behind the Indianapolis 500. It's amazing what a small group of volunteers do, the sponsors that make it all happen, and then the fans that support it. Madison has 13,000 people, and in this given weekend there'll be 60,000 people coming through town.
Steve David has taken 3 victories in his team's hometown race here on the Ohio River. But the win in 2011 came at a very high price after a massive collision with the 96 Spirit of Qatar and driver Dave Vilwalk.
On board with Liddicoat, the rookie. His first start in an unlimited final. Coming down for the green flag. Green flag in the air, it's a legal start.
Great start by those two guys right there with Kip on the outside.
Remember, it's all about handling today. The speed is good, but this water is really rough.
It is, Bill. That's the roughest we've seen all weekend.
This is the most daring and dramatic part of unlimited racing, the first lap of the final. Steve David on the right side of your screen with Dave Vilwalk on the left. Side by side for the lead.
Here we go, Bill. Watch those wings in the front. Both guys are all over these things trying to keep the boats down on the water.
Now, Steve David has the best position here in the inside lane, but Vilwalk has the speed.
That's the question, Bill, is who do you want to be? Do you want to be on the inside where you've got a shorter race course, or do you want to be on the outside where you can carry at those speeds?
Right now, Vilwalk is really working on Steve David. He believes he's going to have the speed to get around him. Look at those boats get out of the water.
Wow, both of them aired out. Of course, again, they're coming into this turn that's ever so important with that hole.
There's Liddicoat, the rookie, his first unlimited final. And the speed now is working for Vilwalk. He's taking the lead as they work through turn 1.
It is on the outside. Vilwalk giving Steve David plenty of room, but now this is where we're going to start getting into some rough water that we were talking about.
Only 1 mile and 2/3, so they're churning up more water than they've done here in the past, and they get back to it faster.
And that water comes from the shore right back onto the race course where these guys are coming around.
On board with Steve David, the Oh Boy Oberto, looking forward at Vilwalk. Now you can really see it's lumpy out there. Vilwalk using that speed, wow, out of the water again. On board with Kip Brown. This red dot runs in 3rd.
Nice clean run by Kip there.
That's Liddicoat, Falcon.com. There's the 5. Jeff Bernard had trouble at the start. Boy, it really looks like those boats are sitting down in the water now when it gets churned up.
Look how beautiful this thing runs, Bill. There's nothing but air underneath there. He's walking on 2 sponsons in the top of the prop.
And working that front wing?
Absolutely.
62 career wins for Dave Vilwalk. Bill Muncie had 62. We could see a new all-time champion in unlimited racing today here in Madison, but Steve David wants something to say about that. Both these drivers really pushing these boats, and you have to make sure you don't get too much air under the bow.
This This is a final, Bill, so they're not going to be on that wing as much, but they've got to make sure they're safe.
And if Bill Walk, he spun out. Steve David has hit Dave Billwatt.
I'm not sure, Bill, but that was awfully close to the capsule.
Red flag is out. The race has been stopped. On board with Steve David. Billwatt hooked it.
I think he did. He may have fallen into that hole we were talking about.
And we've talked about how handling was critical here and how rough the water can be. Here's another look. Looks like he dives the right spots and in.
Right, Bill, and at that point, you really can't recover because this is mechanical steering. It's not like a car where you've got power steering.
He hit right behind the capsule.
I hope it was behind.
You want to drive it unlimited? Watch and listen. So Steve David's boat actually barrel rolled after it impacted.
It did, Bill. Unfortunately, it landed right side up for Steve.
And it looks like both drivers are climbing out of the cockpit, and we have received a radio report from the pits that both drivers are okay. So that's very good news. Some hard racing, a frightening moment in the final here at Madison. We'll come back to the Ohio River and sort it all out for you in just a moment.
Steve David suffered minor injuries in that horrific collision, while Dave Billwatt escaped uninjured. H1 official Mike Noonan explains what happened during that final heat that gave Steve David and the city of Madison the victory in 2011.
The determination was made that the accident and the stoppage was caused by the actions of the U-96, Dave Billwatt. We scored the heat as the finish of the previous lap, which meant that the U-1, which was the boat that went over, the old boy Alberto, was declared the winner. So our determination was that it was caused by the U-96 Spirit of Qatar and Dave Billwatt.
The rain continues here in Madison. We'll have more great moments when coverage of the Indiana Governor's Cup continues. The 2013 H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Series on the CBS Sports Network is brought to you by Peters and May, the world leader in global boat transport, and by Formula Boats. You've always wanted the best. Formula Boats. Welcome back to the 2013 Lucas Oil Madison Regatta from Madison, Indiana. The weather did not stop the fans from coming out to see their favorite teams make their way down Main Street in downtown Madison as the 4th of July festivities kicked off the weekend. The river continues to rise, but the local fans are optimistic the event will get underway. 2012 was a season of young guns. Kip Brown, J. Michael Kelly, Scott Liddycoat, rookie Jimmy Shane, all showing they were forces to be reckoned with. Take a look at last year's Heat 2A.
There's John Zimmerman on the outside.
He's carrying a ton of speed, Bill. We'll see what he'll be able to do with this when he gets down the end of this first turn.
J. Michael Kelly on the inside, then the grand trucking of Jimmy Shane.
Wow, plenty of speed on the outside, Bill, but look what lane 1 and 2 does for you.
It's the short way around. Kip Brown is the 4th driver in this heat. There's Shane. Remember, he's going to have to run an extra lap.
And unfortunately by now, Bill, his team has radioed in and told him he's got a 1-lap penalty, so he's going to run extra hard just in case.
He's out in front, but J. Michael Kelly is the race leader, on board with Kelly in the Beacon Plumbing Machine.
At the same time, Bill, J. Michael Kelly wants to hear, hey, you're out front, don't worry about the boat on your outside, just play it safe.
John Zimmerman in that white boat is 2nd, the number 9, and Kip Brown right behind him runs in 3rd.
Don't forget on this boat, Bill, we got a couple of ex-Budweiser guys on the number 9 team.
On board here, the 17. There's the 37, the Beacon Plumbing. That's your race leader. He's got Jimmy Shane right alongside of him, but Shane has been penalized a lap.
You notice one thing, Bill. J. Michael Kelly will get around these turns very, very fast, but then he starts to lose a little bit of lead in the straightaway here. Boat handles very well through the corners. It's always been a little bit shy on top end.
What was your philosophy when you were racing a guy that really wasn't on the same lap with you?
Well, you had to make sure you weren't going to make any mistakes because he's still there. You're treating him like he's in first or second, but in reality, you're leading by a long way.
John Zimmerman in the Holiday Inn Express runs second, and Kip Brown in the Miss Red Dot is third. And there's a good look at Kip in his office.
Yeah, pretty good look, Bill, and a pretty good boat ride. There's not a lot going on in there right now. Water's pretty calm right now.
I tell you, it doesn't look like it, but he is working really hard trying to catch that boat for second.
Wow, so much for being calm anymore, Bill. These guys are back in their own slop, and look, whoa.
Wow. Looked like the 9 almost came over on him.
Now, I think he may have caught that right sponson in the hole there. Kip had to do everything he could to avoid it. Look at that.
Boy, that's a nice bit of driving by both those guys.
But, like a true driver, Kip didn't lift an inch.
And Kip Brown takes over second place. On board the Miss Red Dot, coming to the checkered flag. And there is your race winner, J. Michael Kelly in the Beacon Plumbing.
All these drivers went on to have a very successful 2012 season, which brings us to 2013. After the first 2 races of the season, Jimmy Shane sits just over 500 points in front of Steve David in the National High Point Chase. But it's early in the season, and it could be any driver's title come the end of the season. Despite the weather, the fans are getting up close and personal with the teams along the riverfront. More action from Madison when we return. Welcome back to Madison, Indiana and the Lucas Oil Madison Regatta. As you can see, the Ohio River is not letting any kind of racing take place here this weekend. But for driver Jimmy Shane, if the call was made to race, he's ready to go.
You know, it's one of those deals where you're prepared all the time as a driver. If they tell you to hop in the boat and go, it's your job to get in there and be ready on call. So I think all the drivers are in the same kind of aspect of that. And yeah, I mean, we're ready to go.
Jimmy Shane first faced off with veteran Steve David here in Heat 3A during his rookie year in 2012. And from that day on, Shane knew David was the man to beat if he wanted to make it to the top of the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing.
And it looks like Jimmy's in even more trouble through a rooster tail.
He is, Bill. It doesn't look like it from here, but he's basically facing a fire hose, and he has no idea where he's going.
Has to wait for all the water to clear, now trying to get back up to speed. And he falls to the back of the pack. Up front, Steve David. And Kip Brown on board with Kip. He has the inside lane, but man, that Oberto boat is fast.
It is, Bill. It's very fast, and Steve can pretty much do what he needs to do from lane 2 or 3 right here.
I love that shot.
Well, maybe we spoke too soon.
Miss Red Dot trying to rope in that boat. The Oberto Miss Madison with Steve David at the wheel. That's the hometown favorite. First lap for Steve, almost 139 miles an hour. They're flying almost literally on this 2 mile.
That's what happens when you're out front, Bill. You've got nothing but clean water. You determine where you want to go, and Steve's taking full advantage of that right now.
Kip Brown in that inside lane. 134.6 on his first lap. There's Jimmy Shane trying to make up ground in the Graham Trucking. Now, talk about Jimmy, his first lap, just 110 miles an hour after he went through that rooster tail and basically had to come to a complete stop. There's Kip Brown running in second. And your race leader, Steve David. Making the turn, heading down the front stretch. Boy, a real smooth ride for David.
Smooth ride, and listen to the fans. That's the boat that they own out front right now.
136.4 miles per hour for Steve David on lap 2. There you see his lead over Kip Brown. When he gets to the back stretch, he'll be able to move over. If he wants, he might be content in lane number 2.
Yeah, actually, it's not a bad lane, Bill, because if any mistakes were to take place, he's got a little bit of room to correct for error.
Well, it's been a mistake-free day for him so far. 800 points, 400 in each of his first 2 heats, and he's looking to make it a 3-for-3 afternoon here in Madison.
No doubt, Bill, the 6th team is looking to get into the final, but they also have that big picture in mind at the end of the year. Every point is worth something here.
Yeah, you're right. We heard Crew Chief Mike Hansen talking about how they want to win another national championship. Checkered flag in the air for Steve David.
Shane did not take his first victory until the Lamb Weston Columbia Cup in Tri-Cities, Washington in July. A few weeks later, and now he sits atop the national high points. Not to mention he's won 2 World Championship titles. The 2012 final heat of the Indiana Governor's Cup up next. The 2013 H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Series on the CBS Sports Network is brought to you by Peters and May, the world leader in global boat transport, and by Formula Boats. You've always wanted the best, Formula Boats. Welcome back. Unfortunately, the Ohio River has won here this weekend in Madison, Indiana, but the crowd still came out and the city has announced that they will regroup and look forward to the 2014 season and making the Indiana Governor's Cup bigger and better. Driver Steve David took time to meet with the local fans and looks forward not only to next season, but is ready for next weekend in Detroit and the APBA Gold Cup.
Our team is always up. It doesn't matter if whether we had rained out or not, we are always on full go mode. And so if it doesn't happen here, we will be on just even more full go mode in Detroit. The only negative, if you will, is you really wanted to go out and win another race and put in the books. But we also understand, though, that this has got to be a safe event. And with the stuff that's floating down the river, that wasn't going to happen.
And now the final heat of the 2012 Indiana Governor's Cup. Steve David and one of the winningest drivers in the history of the sport, Dave Villwock, go head-to-head, just as they did in 2011.
On board now with Villwock.
Wow, and Villwock unhooks the skid fin and skips out a lane.
And you can see on the 6th boat, the Madison Oberto, they're running their saltwater scoop. Wow, Steve's boat really getting light. Now, depending on who you ask, you get different answers about that. Some guys say they're doing it for balance. Other guys say they're running that snout just to mess with the other teams.
Either way, Bill, we'll never know.
There's your race leader, Dave Villwock, in the Spirit of Qatar. Still in lane 2, he's got Steve David on his inside.
Got him on his inside. He's got to give him 7 boat lengths before he can even think about coming over into lane 1.
138.4 miles per hour for Villwock on the first lap.
Oh, look at him air this thing out, Bill.
There's your second place boat, Steve David. Now on board with Liddicoat, looking at Kip Brown and the Miss Red Dot. Now back at the Degree men, side by side for position.
This is an uncomfortable spot for any driver, Bill. Rooster tail to the right, rooster tail to the left, and he goes through it.
Kip Brown could not hold his lane, and he gets washed down. This is on board with J.W. Myers, and he is coming up on Brown's boat.
Look how hard it is to... Oh, there goes his bullnose, Bill.
Went through rough water, tore up the front of the boat a little bit. Now back with the Miss Red Dot. Kept trying to get it restarted. You have to be so patient here and under control.
You do have to be patient and under control, Bill, but he did everything he could, and the boat's not upside down.
So Kip Brown trying to get back into the action. There's your race leader, Dave Villwock, Spirit of Qatar. 135.9 miles per hour on his second lap. Good run for Villwock. Steve David in the Oberto Miss Madison runs in second. Scott Liddicoat, Degree Men, is your third place boat. J.W. Myers and Peters and May is fourth on the water, but he's acknowledging the fact he's been penalized a lap for going past the out-of-bounds marker, coming to the green flag. On board with Kip Brown. He's back up to speed and running fourth. That's the front wing on his boat, and he controls that from the cockpit.
Yeah, Bill, watch the front canard here. He's about mid-track. He's putting wing into it, making sure that front end stays down. Now, the faster he goes down this front straightaway, the more wing he's going to put into it to make sure it's there when he gets to the end of the straightaway. Now he's getting ready to set up for a turn. As he starts to go into the corner, now you'll see him raise that wing back up and try and pack air underneath the boat to get it around the corner as fast as he can.
That wing is the driver's friend.
Absolutely, Bill. You can win or lose with that wing.
On board with Vilwak. He's your race leader. Steve David in second.
Bill, after last year, what's interesting is both of these guys are way off the pins in the corners. Nobody wants to take that chance like they did last year.
Especially in this rough water when you have a tendency to see that boat bounce out a little bit.
This is exactly what we're talking about right here, Bill. Look at the room Dave Vilwak has between himself and the inside buoys. He's got plenty of room for error here if that left sponsor wants to take a dip and bring the boat to the left.
You see him putting a lap on Kip Brown. White flag in the air for Dave Vilwak in the spirit of Qatar. 2 miles to go to the checkered flag. Dancing down the front stretch, heading for turn one.
Bill, you would think with the lead that he has, he would be a little bit more conservative, but he's not at all.
He loves to fly that boat, doesn't he? We saw that front wing on Kip's boat. Dave is a master at using that front wing.
Dave's very good at the front wing. A lot of finesse involved in driving one of these things.
J.W. Myers runs in fifth. There's Kip Brown. He scored fourth. There's your race leader on the backstretch one last time. Vilwak trying to start 2012 with a win. Coming around the final turn. Dave Vilwak charges out of turn two, and he's going to start 2012 with a victory. Dave Vilwak wins the Indiana Governor's Cup in Madison.
Dave Vilwak went on to win only one more event during the 2012 season, but it was a big one. The Detroit APBA Gold Cup, the most prestigious trophy in all of boat racing. After the season ended, Vilwak retired as the winningest driver in the history of the sport. Here are the high points after the first two races of 2013. Jimmy Shane has a narrow lead over Steve David, but there's a long season ahead. The 2013 season is just getting started for the Unlimiteds. So we pack up in Madison and head to the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan for the APBA Gold Cup. Then we head west to Tri-Cities, Washington and Seattle. There's a lot more action coming up. For more hydro news, visit h1unlimited.com or like H1 Unlimited on Facebook. This has been a presentation of the CBS Sports Network. For the entire crew, I'm Steve Montgomery saying see you next time.